Frontiers of Metal. This is a new game that just came out as of recording on July 22nd of 2026. Now, this is an over-the-shoulder action roguelike games. And if I wanted to really quickly summarize how the gameplay feels to somebody who's never seen it, well, it's kind of like Hades meets a Dynasty Warrior type of game, and that's not even a hyperbole for the Dynasty Warrior. There's dozens and dozens of enemies on the screen at once sometimes. So let's go over the overview, the story, the gameplay, the good, the bad, and ultimately who do I kind of recommend this game to, right? So the story is pretty much you are commanders and heroes of Scotland, and people have invaded your home, and basically you're trying to take it back. The world in general is kind of almost realistic, but not really. Like, it's very down to earth, but then there is a lot of magic going on, some kind of meta humans that you've got to be dealing with. So it's like fantasy medieval. All right, so the whole gameplay loop is your typical sort of roguelite game where you are gonna just choose nodes and go through lots of different events. Some of them are battles, some of them are shops, some of them are, random events, all leading up to a boss in Act 1. Then you're gonna do the same thing in Act 2, which is going to be a different biome, and the same thing in Act 3. So let's go over the combat gameplay loop, and then we'll talk about the meta sort of upgrades that you're going to be seeing here. So basically, in early access, there's around 3 characters you can unlock, and then a couple more coming throughout early access. And yes, once again, it's early access, so there's going to be bug fixes, there are going to be more content added, maybe some big changes, but I'll try to generally talk about the game. So the first character you're going to be playing as is Wallace. And your whole game plan here is he is very balanced. So you have a basic strike attack, which is your fast quick attack. You have your strong attack, and then you have a dodge button, and then you have special moves. So that's pretty much the core of your gameplay. So when you go to a combat scenario, you have different sorts of objectives, and the maps don't take that long. I would say maybe around 5-ish minutes for a map, depending on how much you take your time and stuff like that. All right, so you have your little units that you have, or your army that you are comprised of foot soldiers, spearmen, and archers. You yourself are like the big hero. So once again, that Dynasty Warriors type of feel. You are all encompassing. You take out little peons like nothing, but the whole the challenge comes from how do you deal with all the small guys while dealing with the much more harder sort of captains where they're surrounding them. So you have your little group of people that you are leveling up meta-wise throughout the game, and we'll go over that later. But in the battle, you are basically, you have to take a place over, you have to go through waves of enemies, you have to capture points. There's lots of really cool things around the map. So fight, right? You have your HP pool, you have a guard pool, and you have a special bar pool. Obviously, if your HP goes to 0, it's game over. HP damage persists throughout the whole run, and you have different ways of healing it, either finding like meat on the ground, talking to merchants and purchasing things, to heal you, or you can spend gold, the temporary currency for the run. You can spend that gold, and you can also heal at different shrines. On the map, not only are there enemies and objectives, but there are treasure chests. The treasure chest stuff kind of reminds me of Risk of Rain, where you would walk up to it and you have money, and you're like, oh, do I want to open up that chest that costs $75? Or this one was $125. So you open it up, and you get lots of charms. And usually they're called trinkets in a lot of games, but in this game they're called charms. And I did say Risk of Rain because not only are you fighting them randomly on the map, but you can find multiple of the same charm. So if you find one that says your strike damage, which is your quick attack, goes up by 10%. If you randomly find another one, you can see the numeric value goes up to 2, noting you have 2 of them, and you have now 20% damage extra. So it's kind of like that. So you have, once again, you have treasure chests, you have ways to heal, you have also challenges as well, where you can, though these are optional, you can go ahead and activate it. Waves of enemies come in, you have to defeat them while also dealing with the other enemies on the screen, and then you get more money and stuff. So the money that you get, it persists throughout the whole run, and then after that it goes away, but you will be getting lots of special currencies that persist after runs. But let's keep talking about the combat loop here. So you have your battles, and then you're going to be getting your shops. Basically in shops, it's the same thing. You get like armors and trinkets that you can use throughout the run and whatever. Then bosses at the end, they're really big and bombastic. It's pretty awesome. I have a pretty well made PC, pretty high end, so I got zero sort of lag whatsoever. The game ran really crazy smooth, and there you go. With Wallace, you have your sword, and you can get different weapons throughout, you know, the run by unlocking them and then setting them up before you go on a run. Now, just like with, you know, a lot of action RPGs, you can combo them. You can go weak into heavy, and it does a new kind of string at the end. And also you have a block button, which you can use and sort of bash people and lower their block. Now, after every sort of stage, and you know, you get the rewards. Some of the rewards are permanent upgrades permanent resources, but some of them are like Hades upgrades. And this is a really good example. At the beginning of the game, I said it was kind of like Hades, and this is where that comes in. There's lots of different sort of factions, and they're denoted by different colors. One of them really works with fire, a purple one linking units together and stuff like that. So to give you an example, after you finish a stage, you might get rewarded, and you can choose, oh, I want the fire upgrade. Once you choose the fire upgrade, it'll give you a choice between 3 different types of that aspect's upgrade. So, oh, your weak attack now does fire damage, and they take damage over time. Or if you dodge, wherever you end up during your dodge, it does a blast of fire. Same thing with the sort of purple linking. If, you know, lots of different abilities there, but one of them is if you block, then everything around you gets linked for a little bit, and that means if you deal damage to any of the linked characters, enemies, they take 1% damage, and then, you know, expands and so on. So there's lots of ways to progress during a run. You get HP buffs, you get those little charms and trinkets to increase your stats, more movement speed, more attacking and stuff like that. And also the big things are those sort of Hades aspects that you're to be getting as well. And remember, all of that goes away at the end of a run. So you go as far as you can, and, you know, hopefully you can beat the boss, but if you end up dying, you go back to town. Now, the first couple of times that you do go back to town, you're going to be slowly unlocking a lot of these buildings. So once again, all the resources that are lost during the run, like gold, whatever, but you get stuff like statues and specific money for the stuff. So some of the buildings you can find are a sort of codex station where you can see all of the enemies that you fought, all of the charms that you got, all of the soldiers that you're going to be coming across. Then you have the place where it's Wallace's house, and in the future, when you unlock more characters, you can go to their house, but you can see exactly what they have equipped. They have swords, they have armors, they have shoes that you can change out after you permanently unlock them. So if you feel like equipping a new sword for Wallace, not only is that sword going to have a new ability, but it's also going to have a new move set that the other weapon didn't have. For example, your basic weapon might have, you know, XXX, which is light. The new one might have light. So they added on a little extra one. So there's good and bad things about all of them. So the special abilities, the type of attack strings that you have, and then all of the different, once again, the shoes and everything you unlock. It just really changes up the playstyle. And this is good. This is compounded by all the other characters that you're going to be getting. Another cool meta upgrade for character specific stuff is when you go to their house, besides changing out the equipment, you can upgrade their skills permanently. So lots of things here. More HP. So when you start the run, you just have more HP, more sort of blocking, more sort of command damage. I guess I need to talk about more of the units inside the combat. So when you go on a battle, you have your special bar. That special bar is used for your command actions. So you have the 3 different types of units. Like I said, you have the spearmen, you have the footmen, which is like the swordsmen, and you have the archers, and you also have special companions that you can bring in. Whenever you add one of those characters to your party for the run, they give you some sort of abilities. For example, a companion might give you an aspect of fire to start with, and you can go ahead and start with a new sort of charm that's just persistent at the beginning of the run to help you figure out your loadout. After you finish a run, you can also upgrade one of the units that you brought with you, and they will have new abilities. So think of a lot of the charm stuff, but miniaturized and put onto a unit that equals your loadout. So that first archer that you brought in might end up giving you a permanent ability that says, hey, whenever you fight a boss, you're going to have like a couple of more extra % damage against it. So you can choose to bring it or not bring it with you. And you do have a limit of like 5 or 6 units, but then as time goes by, you're going to be increasing that limit. So in battle, not only are you attacking, but your little guys are attacking all around with you as well. You know, if they go too far away from you, they will teleport on you and stuff like that. But with your special bar, you can activate them and use them to attack, and it uses up a certain amount of bar. You have pretty much 3 charges of your bar, and each of your activations on them, like, oh, I want all the archers to attack right here, it's going to use up 1 of those charges. And if you save up to 3 charges, you have a big wave of attack that just completely wipes the screen for the most part. And then, yeah, so that's how the little guys help you in there. They give you passive bonuses, which is super important. They help tank a lot of stuff, and they do a lot of damage. Now, they can actually become damaged during a run, and if you're not able to save them, because they can get downed if they take too much damage, you have to walk up to them and save them. If you don't save them, they get kind of knocked out. They're going to be out of commission for a couple of campaigns before you can bring them back in. So there is a little bit of that camaraderie, you know. Even though I am a one-man army, they do a lot of damage. They are very powerful, because what else are you going to use your special bar for? You don't really have anything else to do. So that's pretty much what your little guys are. But yeah, Wallace's, I talked about the equipment, I talked about the skills, and I think the other thing that I want to talk about is actually upgrading your units. I did say that after a whole campaign run, you can choose that, but also when you're picking out your loadout, besides spending money on just Wallace's skills or whatever the person you choose to, you can increase an individual unit by spending a little bit of money to increase their attack frequency and stuff like that. So there is quite a lot of meta upgrades here, and what I really like is, even though, you know, you're restarting the campaign over and over again, and it's basically, if you think about it, it's the exact same loop: fight, event, maybe fight, event, shop, whatever, into a boss. It's that sort of game loop, but every time you start, the different sorts of nodes that you go through, they're changed up ever so slightly. That makes it worth going to. They have this sort of push your luck aspect where you can fight and go through every single node on one of your acts. But as you do that, the longer you take, you're going to get stronger for sure, because you're gaining a lot of money, you're opening chests, you're obtaining structures, because throughout the game, every time you finish one of the nodes, there is a chance that that node had a very specific sort of resource on it. So like, oh, this is plus $8, right? So every time you finish another node on that act, your subsequent resources activate. So you just keep getting 8 coins over and over and over again as you go through the act, and that's a really good benefit for, you know, wanting to do that stuff. But as you take your time to get stronger, the enemies are going to get stronger, and the threat level goes up. After the threat level goes up a certain amount of times, every time you go to another node after that, including the boss node, there's going to be lots of weird random challenges that pop up, like, oh, enemies are now stronger, there is a archer tower on the field, the boss has more stamina that you have to deal with. So you have to really balance out whether or not you want to rush the boss, you know, go to that very, very perfect sort of route scenario node that you want, or hell, or you're just like, whatever, I want to grab every single resource that I can, because it all equals the meta upgrades. You can go through all that stuff. So there's a lot going on there. So it does keep it fresh, and there are some special events that unlock new companions, which are the special ones, and you're always unlocking things. Once again, even though you're not keeping a lot of the charms, the more bosses you kill, the more sort of challenges you complete, you know, just overall, because, you know, there's like a wide account challenges, you're going to be unlocking new charms, new abilities that you're going to be finding in future runs. So if it feels a little stale after the first couple of runs, just know you're going to keep unlocking new things to find during the run. So that's the game. It's pretty freaking good for early access. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this, and you know, I'm going to replay it when it's version 1.0. But I feel like if you just get it now, it's very worth the money. The combat's good, man. The game's challenging, definitely. I died quite a lot, and you know, freaking Dynasty Warrior type of game. This is pretty awesome. Some things I do have to, I guess, give it a little bit of a negative on is there's a lot of visual clutter, a ton of it. So, you know, they try to fix that a little bit, because you can lock onto larger commander units. But I wish there was a lot more color or outline differences between your units against the enemy units. You know, much more easier to see the intentions of the enemies when they're attacking. And it has that sort of thing where it's like a lot of enemies are literally just standing around doing nothing while you just completely destroy their armies. And you know, that's the case in a lot of Hades, like a lot of Dynasty Warrior type of games, right? They just have like enemies that just don't do anything for the most part and just stand there waiting for you to, you know, wipe them off the floor. But yeah, that I think it's fine. It's very nice to look at, a really good art style. The music's great. It's like, yeah, it's pretty like metalish sometimes. It's pretty awesome. I love the setting as well. But overall, this one, it's gonna be a good game for sure. The Steam ratings right now are very positive. I didn't read anything because I wanted to go in kind of blind, but I was able to see that. So I think I agree with them. Very positive. This is a good game. Also, it's freaking multiplayer. I didn't even mention that. I played only single player, but I'm assuming if you play multiplayer, it's gonna scale up for difficulty. It should. I hope it'd be really weird if it didn't. But yeah, it's on Game Pass as well, which is where I'm playing it. So I think if you got Game Pass, you got 1 or 2 friends to play this with, even if you play solo, this is a good game. So I highly recommend checking out this game right now. So go do that and let me know down below what you guys think. This has been Tears of Metal. If you guys want to see my full playthrough, I'll be uploading it on Mabi vs. Games 2, my Let's Play channel. There's a link down below. Come by Twitch and YouTube where we stream it all, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.